Celebrating those small wins is exactly what you should be doing. It's going to keep you coming back, and it's like that's going to breed confidence. For me, that would breed so much confidence that what I'm doing is the right thing.
Why are you here? What is the point? What is it that you're trying to achieve? If you're not motivated to go to the gym, you force yourself anyway, you're there, you don't feel confident, you're not enjoying your time. If you really tap into why you're doing it, you get motivated to do it, you turn up to the gym, even though say it's an intimidating environment, you turn up and you're like, I'm here to do this. This is why I'm here.
Hello and welcome to the T2 Fit Talks podcast, where we aim to educate and inspire individuals to achieve their full potential. I'm your host JT, and today in episode 5, we are looking at 3 things you can do to help build confidence in the gym. And I'm joined by T2 Fit's very own Coach Em. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm very good. First time on the podcast.
Yes.
How's the old sofa working out for you?
It's actually very comfy, very comfortable. I do feel like I'm a little bit far away from you, but that's probably a good thing.
So we're going to be talking about confidence in the gym. Mm-hmm. Okay. But first and foremost, why is it you think people actually do lack confidence in the gym?
I think it's pretty normal to lack confidence in the gym, especially if it's like a new environment for someone. There's a lot of things that, can be quite daunting to people. Like if you walk into somewhere and it's super busy, or if you're not 100% sure what you're doing, so if you have a lack of knowledge, not having much confidence, that's really normal. Other things like you can potentially injure yourself if you don't do things correctly, if you don't program correctly. And in general, it's not an easy environment to be in sometimes. So that's a couple of reasons why people might lack a bit of confidence.
I think that's a big thing as well, is that it's normal. Like it is a strange place to be. It can be quite a daunting place. And even, I've been in the gym a lot in multiple gyms, different settings. And even now, if I go into a certain type of gym, like if I walked into like a King's gym now, I'd feel really like out of my depth to a certain extent. Although I'd know the machines, I'd be kind of probably happy in the first, 10, 15 minutes or something. Initially walking in there, it's understandable for it to feel quite daunting. And even know that, it's absolutely fine to walk in there. People won't care the fact that I'm in there. It can be a scary environment.
Yeah.
But I also think there's a lot of real mixed information out there. Like when I go somewhere or when I start something new, I want to know what it is I'm doing, roughly what I'm talking about. And I think when you look at social media, I think social media has a kind of big part to play in this. There's just so much information out there that's very mixed, very varied. It's a minefield. I feel like you can get really lost in it. And even someone in the industry, who's been in the industry for a very long time now, I look at social media and various platforms and I think, well, this person's telling me to do this person's telling me to do this, like whether it be nutrition, whether it be to do training, my week should look like this, but then so-and-so is telling me to do something completely different. It can be a bit of a minefield. So off the back of something in an environment that can be quite daunting, I'm getting kind of a lot of varied information on the back end that kind of makes that quite uneasy as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do. I agree with that 100%. Social media, like you said, it can be a minefield, and you can actually end up getting information from people who are not qualified or pressured, or just feel in general intimidated by what you see on social media and compare yourself to it, wonder why it's not like that for you, or just loads of misinformation as well. Like you see a post, this is a fat burning workout, and you're like, oh, I should do that. I've done that a few times a week and I haven't lost any fat. Why is that? So social media does play a massive role in people's confidence and their body image in the gym and things like that. So there's lots of factors that play in it. Like you said, social media is definitely a big one there.
I know you've mentioned kind of body image in the past, and it's something that at a younger age, when you were kind of training up to be a PT, maybe even before that, that's something that was kind of been on your radar and you kind of dealt with. Tell us a little bit about that. Yeah,
so I have struggled with my body image for many years. Like I'm still quite young now, but from the age of about even 14 or 15, I always felt like I didn't quite look right, or I compared myself to other people. Entering a gym environment did help a lot, but at first it was very tricky. I started pretty privileged in the fact that I started my fitness journey and in a college gym, so it was all beginners basically, because we were all college students either training to be a PT or studying sports science like myself. And so when we entered that gym environment, everyone was a beginner, so we all were pretty out of our depth in a way. But it was when I went to Pure Gym for the first time, I think I was like 17, and at that point I was doing my personal training qualification, and that's where I took a real plummet, because it was a really busy gym. You know, they had thousands of members. I would go in an evening after college and it was full of people, and I would really, really struggle with how I felt I looked. And after chatting to a few of the trainers, they knew I was a PT, and I was then going home wondering, they know I'm a PT. Are they then judging me on how I look or how I'm training and things like that? So in terms of that, of the body image thing, yeah, definitely something I've struggled with. I've actually been pretty overweight in the past, and then during lockdown I went to actually being underweight, and so then I spent a couple of years actually finding a healthy position to be in, and that took a lot of like self-reflection and time, and just like meditation on myself and what do I want to be like, and going off of that. Yeah.
And you mentioned something before, which I thought was like really cool. And it was, I think your mind shift happened when you actually then started to work or think about things that you and your body can do, and the positives there versus it being the negative of what maybe you can't do, or the perception that you had of people, like people had a perception of you, sorry.
Yeah. What
kind of triggered that mindset change?
I think it was understanding that, you know, my body is my home, it's my vessel, it's how I live. I'm not going to stress too much about how I look from the outside. I'm going to focus on actually what it's capable of. You know, I was lifting heavy weights. I had the ability to do things that actually some people can't do in a way. And I was like, you know, why am I stressing about, you know, I've got fat rolls hanging over my leggings. Okay, big deal. I've got cellulite on the back of my legs when I wear shorts. Whatever. I can deadlift the X amount of kilos. I can squat. I can bench press heavy. I was then saying, why am I being so critical of myself? I feel like everyone has this internal voice, and everyone's internal voice is different in how you think. So for example, at that time, my internal voice was a drill sergeant. It was like, you're not worth it. You should be ashamed of yourself. You've got lumps and bumps, and you know, you can't run 5K without breaking a sweat. And until I changed that internal voice to being more supportive to myself, being like, yeah, okay, you're a size 12, but you squat 120 kilos. Yeah, okay, you're not a skinny Instagram model, but you deadlift 140. Like, I had to completely change my mindset. And it's when I got into performance-based training that really happened. So when I started competitive powerlifting, I wasn't training for aesthetics anymore and how I looked in the mirror. I was training to get numbers on the bar. So I did not care how I looked in the mirror too much, because I was like, right, I'm going to a competition in 5 months. I need X amount of weight on that barbell. What can I do to get there? And it completely changed my mindset on how I felt about my body. And that's what made the biggest difference for me.
Nice. And I'm not necessarily the biggest advocate for social media, but did social media have kind of a negative role to play in that, or did it have a positive role? Because as much as I kind of hate on social media in certain situations with this, I think it's also a really good job of actually making weight training, especially for females, way more accessible, way more mainstream. It's this kind of like the strong now is the best thing that you can do. And I see way more women in the gym lifting weights, which is fantastic. And when I first started out being a PT, that was the complete opposite. So do you think it's had a positive impact, both personally for you and kind of globally, or has there been some negativity in there as well?
I think it's a mix of both. So it had a very positive impact in that I used to follow, you know, female powerlifters and female Olympic lifters, and I'd be like, wow, these females are so inspirational. They're not tiny models. They are muscular, strong women, and that is something I look up to. However, it does have a very big negative impact on today's generation or even above that. It kind of shows you the best of people, and it's like, this is how you should look if you want to go to the gym. So you get videos and pictures of really, really edited girls training, and I would look at that and be like, oh, I want to look like that. So I'd follow that person. And then what would I get fed? Misinformation, posts that would make me feel bad about myself. So I think when it comes to social media, it's really good to use it in a positive way. So follow the people that actually inspire you, who are real about what they do, are real about their body and their training. And just when you see pictures pop up of unrealistic body expectations, unrealistic training, things like that, you can't get rid of it. Social media will show you all the good stuff. It's how you respond to it. So it's how you train your mind to look at that. Are you going to let it get you down and make you feel bad about yourself? Or are you going to look at that and be realistic and respond to it in a way in your head that's, okay, I know that's not realistic. I know that's not something I could possibly be able to achieve. So therefore, I'm going to respond with that by unfollowing, ignoring, moving on. Maybe switch off Instagram, take 10 minutes to yourself, go, right, I need to change my perception of this. So I think it's not exactly getting angry at what's on social media. It's working on how you yourself respond to it. And that's what I had to learn. I can't blame Instagram all the time for the stuff it shows me. I have to actually figure out in myself, actually, this is going to show, this is going to happen. How am I going to respond to it? Am I going to let it get me down? Or am I going to respond in a positive way and be like, right, that's fine. You're like that. This is me. This is what I can do. I'm going to unfollow you, for example.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. And I think more and more people should do that, just across the board, whether it's to do with body image or the gym or whatever. So social media, just in general, I think people should be looking at who they follow, and making it a platform for kind of education more than just aimless scrolling. And I say that because I know it's something that I need to do more. So I can lose 20 minutes, half hour easily just scrolling through stuff. I mean, most of it's looking at just golden retrievers and stuff, so it's all like innocent stuff, but I can lose hours on there. It's so easy. But I think it can be a fantastic place for knowledge, and if we actually just, like you say, pick and choose what we want from it and who we follow, it can be very beneficial. There's actually a guy talking about kind of the gym. There's a guy I actually do follow. His name is Joey Swole on Instagram. I'm not sure if you've seen him, and he's one that his whole Instagram story now is basically calling people out on social media for shaming people in the gym. And again, another unfortunately negative side of social media, where people are constantly on their phones sharing videos of people in the gym, maybe not doing things quite right, form's not great, wearing certain things or whatever. And it's so quick and easy to make that person in the gym that you have no idea who they are globally known for something not quite right, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And his whole Instagram is basically just, he gets tagged in these videos by various people and he just calls them out, and I think it's amazing to have that. And he actually had recently one guy reach out to him and just absolutely apologize for the video that he posted. But again, it's this whole thing that if I did something slightly wrong in the gym, I've always got this in the back of my mind, like that could be plastered over social media in the next 5 minutes and it could go like viral.
Yeah.
It's a scary place to be in a way.
Yeah, 100%. I think the use of social media. So now if you go into a lot of commercial gyms, there's at least a couple of people there with a tripod, and potentially now it's all about these microphones that they wear on their collar. And that's great if what you're doing is positive. But if you're, like you said, shaming people, making fun of people, it creates this environment that people might look at and go, oh, I don't really want to go to a gym because that's going to happen to me. And, it is the World Wide Web. Everything is on the internet forever. So I do understand people might have that fear. So absolutely, that guy you follow should carry on doing that.
Yeah, it's a great little page as well.
Yeah, just like, come on, stop it. It is true. It's stop it. Like I've seen it on TikTok a few times. I don't know if it's the same guy, but it's like the similar thing. People shame each other or making fun of each other in a gym environment, and he basically calls it out, says, why are you doing that? It's not fair, and it makes the gym more intimidating and more of like this nasty place that people don't want to go to, which is obviously not good at all.
No, which is it's a massive shame, because some of my best friends I've kind of met from the gym. and in kind of training scenarios, team sports, that kind of thing. And I understand team sports are a bit different to the gym, but it's a real shame that it has that negativity surrounding it. But as we've kind of highlighted there, I do understand why. But looking forward from that, we've kind of said three things that we can actually start to do, or people can start to implement into their training week, or even their mindset. How can they do these three things and gain confidence? And when we sat down, we started to speak about it. It's again one of those subjects that can be quite broad. You can go down a number of avenues, and yes, it will vary from person to person, but ultimately if you do these three things, no matter where you are, and there might be some other little tweaks, just put that in there, but no matter where you are, I think you would benefit from it. And the first thing we said was having the right environment around you, but also kind of within that, potentially having a coach and some guidance to help you. Would you, again, agree with that?
Yes, 100%. First, finding a gym that fits your needs and fits what you're looking for. So like you said, you look at a place like King's, and then you look at like a David Lloyd. So dissimilar. The environment you walk into in King's might be, this big dark gym, and then you look at a private club like David Lloyd, and it's on the other side of the spectrum. So I think finding an environment that works for you, number one, is really important. You want to go there and you want to feel comfortable straight away. You want to feel like you can work out and not feel intimidated, and you feel more confident, and you feel like you can just do what you need to do and then leave. And having a coach is for me, when we talk about confidence in the gym, is the most important thing. Being coached, being guided throughout your training and your programming, your session, hands down, will give you the most confidence you can have. So like members here, for example, at T2 Fit, they train here and then they go on holiday and they have the confidence to go to the hotel gym and do a session because they've been coached. They understand how to perform a program and feel great afterwards and get a really good workout. And also that a coach gives you that one-to-one almost communication. So if you have an issue or you don't feel comfortable or there's something you need to ask, there's always that person there to kind of set your mind at ease and say, right, this is great, we just need to tweak this, do this, do this, do this. So those two things, feeling comfortable in a gym environment and having a coach, 100% would boost your confidence in a gym environment. Absolutely.
I think the environment thing, apart from the fact that you just feel comfortable in whatever that environment is, it's, you're potentially going to be surrounding yourself with like-minded people, people that may be in the same kind of boat as you, that want similar goals, that enjoy that environment as well. So you're straight away on a more of a level playing field, and obviously there'll be anomalies to that, but if I could find the right setting for me to train in, straight away that's going to put me at ease. And it's going to be way more conducive to me with my goals and whatever that may be. I'm going to keep going back. I may strike up different relationships within that gym because, again, there's similarities with the people around me. And then when it comes to the coaching, I think it's taking away the guesswork I mentioned earlier. There's so much information out there, and some of it's fantastic information, but unfortunately, some of it's rubbish, and it's just confusing. People trying to sell rubbish plans or whatever it may be. It is a minefield, as I mentioned earlier, but it's taking away the guesswork and putting that in the hands of someone who really knows what they're talking about and can also, really importantly, meet you where you're at. So if I really am not confident going into the gym and I need a certain program, it needs to be quick, it needs to be 2 times a week to start with, I need to be in certain areas, maybe just to start with using different specific equipment, that coach can really help me with that. They can provide a program and a plan where I'm kind of comfortable, maybe slightly outside my comfort zone. And then as I grow and evolve and build that confidence, then hopefully my coach is kind of providing me with a program and a plan that matches that growth a little bit. But I think also you can take away a lot of noise and you can just start to focus on the basics and doing the basics really well, having a real strong foundation. And I think you can find a lot of confidence in consistency. If you can be consistent with the basics, turn up and you know how to perform a squat, a lunge, a press, a pull, and just hit those things, well, to start with, you're probably doing better than most of the people in there, because most of the people in there are probably very, very sporadic with what they're doing. They're not tracking, and that's something we'll come on to in a minute. But I know for a fact I'm more confident when I go in, my guesswork is gone, I'm going, this is my program today, I'm going here, here, and here. These are my targets, these are my goals, these are my aims for this session, and I'm in and I'm away.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like you said, taking the guesswork out of things is really important, and sometimes the best way to do that is by having a coach. Just as you said, with programming, it gives you so much more confidence to almost know this is what I've got to do today. And also, like, the coach might encourage you to do new things. If you're in it solo, you know, you might just, like you said, stick in your comfort zone, do what you know. Great. Is it kind of random? Is it always programmed and tracked? Probably not. A coach can help program for you and push you further than you think you're capable of. And then when you do achieve that, you then get this boost of confidence. It's like, wow, I've done that. Wow, that was my session today and I've completed it. Amazing. I can't wait to get back and go again and try even harder. So absolutely, having a coach almost take you through everything and support you and motivate you, absolutely improve your confidence in a gym environment, 100%.
I think, you know, that the coaching, taking away the guesswork, is something that obviously we do here. We provide, you know, a 8-week periodized program, and that goes obviously throughout the course of the year. But I also think, going back onto the point of finding the right environment and the right people, that community element, something that we do here really, really well, I think is such a magnet for people. And we've had a number of people in the past that have said, I've never been so consistent at the gym. I never thought I would be doing this, or coming this amount of times per week or whatever, doing these movements, lifting that amount of weight. And it comes down to the fact that we know them by name. When they come in, they know exactly what they're doing. They're training with like-minded people, as we said, and it's a supportive network of people.
Yeah.
And I think it's so underestimated, and those people that do experience it, they're like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I went to commercial gyms, and I barely saw the same person twice, and if I didn't know each other, the fact that here you're in small group training, like you said, every coach knows the members by name, but then you get to know the people around you by name, and there's been great friendships that have blossomed from here, and people look forward to training. They don't necessarily see it as a chore, because they know they've got to exercise, they've got to do some work. They have got to do some work. Sometimes I have to say that. I'm like, right, guys, stop chatting, let's do some work. But they look forward to seeing the people that they're gonna be with, because most of the time they know them, they know each other, and it's like training with friends. And that's a really special thing for a gym to provide, that consistency and seeing the same people, with the programming, obviously. And again, like you said, just highlighting that community aspect, that is really important in a gym, to have community and to have like-minded people, because then you do feel more supported and you do feel more comfortable, and people don't walk in here like scared or intimidated. They walk in here like, hello, who am I with? Who's my coach? And it completely changes the game in terms of progression as well, because you're more pushed to work harder, because you feel comfortable and you feel excited and you're happy. And like, the members came in today with the new program and they were excited to know what's next for the next 8 weeks. It's not groveling, it's fun, and that's what exercise should be, and that's what a fitness journey should be like. It should be enjoyable. You've got a goal, that's amazing, but you should enjoy the journey as well, and that's what T2 provides. We help you to enjoy the journey to your fitness goal, and we make it the most comfortable and professional environment to do it in.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And on that point, point two, something else that we really, really kind of reinforce to members is track your numbers. So tracking your numbers seems like, why do you want me to track my numbers? Why is that going to build confidence? And I think in a nutshell, it's you see in progression. So without tracking your numbers, okay, you might initially see, or you know, I'm adding a few more weights on here, that clip's going one down or whatever. But that can quickly kind of tail off. And it gets to a point where tracking your numbers becomes really important to continue to monitor that progression. And let's face it, 9 times out of 10, if someone stops going to the gym or that journey stops too soon, it's probably because you're not seeing or feeling the benefits from it. That would be mine. Like, I know for a fact, if I start something new, whether it be the gym, whatever, if I don't feel that I'm progressing or see something positive from it, why am I going to go back? And quite often in the gym, and again, maybe not right away, because we have some of those like newbie gains and you kind of see and feel some changes right away. But over a period of time, those progressions and those changes are a little bit smaller, and you can actually forget how far you've come in even 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and reminding yourself of that and celebrating those small wins every step of the way, all the way through, whether you're a month into that journey or 2 years into that journey, is exactly what you should be doing. It's going to keep you coming back, and it's like that's going to breed confidence. For me, that would breed so much confidence that what I'm doing is the right thing, and I'm going to keep coming back.
Yeah, like I've seen it in members here. Tracking number 1 is, for me, I've had to learn that actually over the past couple of years. Been a PT for quite a while, but over the past couple of years, actually really tracking how my clients or my members are doing, it does make a massive difference to your confidence. Because if you, for example, do 4 weeks of deadlifts, and each week you're guessing, it comes back to guessing what weight you should be lifting, and you're not actually looking at it, tracking even down to the little things like the amount of reps you performed, how it felt, an RPE, fancy words there.
Yeah, no, it is indeed.
Rate of perceived exertion, if you want to know. Your RPE, and like this week alone, last week, sorry, I actually really honed into the members about their volume, because sometimes they don't think about that. So I said, right, you've RDL'd 60 kilos for 6 reps. I was like, do you know how many kilos you've actually moved in a set? And when I told them like the number, I'm not about to do 60 times 6. It's too great for me. Whatever that number is, it's a high number. I was like, then look at that compared to when you did this weight for 6. The amount of volume has increased. That's an amazing progression. And they're like, oh, I've never thought about it that way. So then this week when we had the rep change, I said, think about how the weight's gone down because we've increased reps. But think about how the volume is going to increase. Yep. And things like that make a big difference. But yeah, tracking 100%, one of the biggest things for confidence, because you see how your strength increases and how you're able to do things you might not have been able to do before. So going from not being able to lunge because of stiff knees or bad ankle mobility, and then being able to do a lunge, a certain amount of weeks later, to full depth, little wins like that, absolutely, you need to celebrate those and realize what training can do for you. So even tracking progression in things like that, range of movement, rep changes, even RPE changes. So how a 60 kilo deadlift felt before, how does it feel now after a few weeks? Oh, it feels a lot easier. There you go. That's progression. That should boost your confidence right there. So yeah, what was the second point? We said tracking, and we said...
Yeah, that was the main thing. I was just going to say, so that's something that you can do on your own. Like, you don't need a coach for that. You can start, no matter where you are, no matter where you train and what you do, whether you have a coach or not, you can start tracking numbers. It is helpful sometimes to have a coach there to kind of point those nuances out, as you kind of say in there about the overall volume of a set, that kind of stuff. But if you are doing that same weight for more reps, if you're doing the same reps but more weight, very basic things as well, like just knowing where you are. Again, it comes back to kind of taking some of the guesswork out of it, having a plan when you go into the gym next time round. This is my goal, this is my aim. I did this last week. I now know that I did this last week rather than guessing. I'm going to aim for this week. But I also think the other time, and it comes into tracking, and a coach can be really helpful, is when you start setting your goals. And if you're listening to this and you haven't got a goal, I think it's important to try and have a think about a goal. And it's setting yourself up for success with that, and a coach should help you with that. Again, if you haven't got access to a coach, have a think about setting realistic expectations. And again, that comes into your number tracking once you've kind of set what those are. But we've used the word before, or the acronym SMART. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and a time frame. And if you can use those things, that's great. But you have to make them, again, attainable and realistic. So not setting yourself up for success, rather than trying to do too much too soon, and then having a negative kind of having a negative impact, because I haven't actually achieved that goal. I want to lift 100 kilos in 2 weeks, but I'm actually still at 60 kilos. Like, you need to be, and that's an extreme example, but you need to be really consistent. You need to be realistic about what you were doing. A coach can help with that.
Yeah.
And the tracking obviously comes off the back of it.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. I had a client who was trying to lose weight for their wedding, and they came to me, not too last minute, they came to me about, I'd say 10 months or so in advance. And they were at the 100 mark in kilos, and she wanted to lose a certain amount of weight for her wedding. And I just said, okay, that may not be realistic at the moment. I said, let's start by setting shorter term goals for yourself and going from there. So from there, we set a goal of like consistency, doing a certain amount of sessions, and performance in sessions. We went really quite specific in each goal. But it made then that overall goal at the end actually quite attainable, because she wasn't just focusing on that long-term unrealistic weight loss. She actually looked at smaller steps along the way. So when you talk about goal setting, it's, for me, setting a goal in a year's time, great. But what smaller goals can you set in between that? So whether it's getting to the gym at certain times a week, how many conditioning sessions are you trying to get to? How many strength sessions are you trying to get to? And working on those smaller steps take you eventually to the longer term goal. But yeah, using the SMART acronym is really important. Being measurable with it, tracking, how are you going to measure it? How are you going to measure this goal? Time bound, setting yourself a time limit. Don't just say, oh, I want to do this and try and wait for it to happen. Actually giving yourself a time limit of when you should have reached that goal and you can tick it off. So whenever you start with a client or a member, I think it's really important to ask about what their goals are, and then as a coach, kind of tweak them and go, right, that's great. You've got big aspirations. How can we now tweak this goal to be more realistic for the time bound you have?
And I think, again, that will lead us quite nicely actually into the last one, number 3, which is focusing on you and your why. And the why bit is the important bit there, based off what we were saying there about setting goals. Because when you know what your why is, why you're going to be going to the gym, why you're making these changes, what that kind of end product is going to look like, or hopefully is going to look like for you, that's obviously when you come into the goal setting. But I think that third one's just super important. It is focusing on you, having that mindset shift, but just knowing why you're kind of embarking on that journey, if you will. All right. The why should be something that is stronger than anything that will stop you from going to the gym. And if you can tap into that why, yes, there'll be some sticky moments, of course, but if it's deep enough, if it's deep rooted enough and it's strong enough for you to kind of go, this is what I want, I'm going to work my socks off for it, then any lack of confidence will go. And you will be in the gym, you will be working towards that goal, that why, and you will be successful.
Yeah, I think, like you said, tapping into that why and just understanding why you're there. So you decided to go to a gym or get a coach or come to T2 Fit. Why are you here? What is the point? What is it that you're trying to achieve? Because realistically, if you walk into a gym environment just saying, oh, I want to get fitter, oh, I want to lose weight, that's really good. Break that down more. That is your why. Why do you want to get fitter? Oh, I want to live to see my grandkids. Why do you want to lose weight? Oh, well, I want to fit into this size clothing or something like that. Just even those small, tiny bits will make such a difference in your motivation to go to the gym, which I feel in turn impacts your confidence to go to the gym. If you're not motivated to go to the gym, you force yourself anyway, you're there, you don't feel confident, you're not enjoying your time, that will just have the biggest impact on your confidence. But if you really tap into why you're doing it, you get motivated to do it, you turn up to the gym, even though say it's an intimidating environment, you turn up and you're like, I'm here to do this. This is why I'm here. So like you said, tapping into that and understanding that and focusing on that makes a world of difference when it comes to a fitness journey or a training journey.
And I think using that, like that time where you're in the gym, use it as you time. Like again, it's just focusing on you. Life's hectic nowadays. I'm sure it has always been, but like, you know, it is crazy. And we need to be making time for ourselves to do something productive, make ourselves fitter, healthier and stronger. Get into the gym, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it needs to be, 10 minutes, do something, do it for you, enjoy it, and just lose yourself within that process. Go in there, get your hood up, earphones in, put some loud music on, country, whatever you need to do, all right?
Luke Combs.
Hello, get Luke Combs. I mean, what more can you ask for? If you see me in the gym, it's potentially I'm singing that. But it is just kind of losing yourself a little bit within that.
Yeah.
And then the tracking comes in, so you've got rest periods rather than sitting around and worrying if other people were looking at you, which probably they're really, really not, in the nicest possible way. They've got their own stuff going on. They're focusing on their own sets, or at least they should be. They're probably not worried about you. And again, I mean that in the nicest possible way. But I'm sitting there, I finished my set. I'm going to log what I just did. I'm going to mention, okay, yeah, next week, try this. And it's just being like almost, not in a bad way, but being consumed by that process, being in that session and just enjoying it and maximizing it as best I possibly can. Yeah,
I think the gym, when done right and done properly, can be the best form of self-care you can do, because not only is it physically benefiting you, mentally it's benefiting you as well. And like you said, I hate to say it, but no one's looking at you. I know it does feel like that. I felt like that when I was a trainer at a commercial gym. I felt as if the members there who knew I was a PT, they're like going to be watching what I'm doing. And I started to structure my workouts because I thought people were looking at me. So it's like, oh, I've got to do that day because that's a busy time. So people will be looking over, so I better do that. But then I realised, actually, no one cares. Yeah. No one's looking at you. Everyone's there for themselves. Everyone's there to try and better themselves. So you should do that as well. And then in between sets, like tracking numbers, I got into the habit of in between sets scrolling through Instagram. And then what would I do? See something that brought my mood down, see something that made me worry about my body image. That would bring me down. Would I perform better in the next set? No, I'd perform terribly because I was feeling rubbish. So it is just like a vicious cycle. And just getting into good habits like tracking, and just remember that, I sound like a broken record, but you know, focus on yourself. Just go there for you. Go there and know what you're doing, know why you're there, and worry about yourself, because that's the only person that your workout's going to impact.
Yeah, completely. And I was just thinking in my head, if you do catch someone looking at you, it could be for a really innocent reason, but it could also be for a really positive reason. They could be looking, going, wow, like this person's always tracking their stuff. Like, I wish I should really be doing that. That's a really nice diary they've got. That guy's got a good voice. I know. Thank you. All right. But it could be like, it could be something. It could be something. When Luke Combs is on, I'm awake. It could be something entirely innocent. It could be something that actually that person's actually envious of that you're doing. You might have performed that set really, really well. Mm-hmm. They might have noticed actually that since you were here a month ago that you've got a lot stronger. So it's not always a negative thing if you catch that person's eye or whatever. Yeah. I appreciate we can make it a negative thing in our head, but it's not always a negative thing. It could be a positive thing. No, I think the gym is actually a great place to build friendships, and for a while, it takes a while to break through that barrier. But yeah, most of the time, you know, when you're out and about, if you're in a shopping centre and it's really busy, you're not just staring at the floor walking along, are you? People watch, or they look around them. It happens. It's just because the gym is such a vulnerable environment, or it can be for some people, and they feel very self-conscious. So any eyes on them, they're going to feel straight away. So being self-reassuring in the sense that, right, they're not looking at me, you know, it's not a big deal. And if someone is looking over and they give you a smile, go over. The gym can be some of the friendliest environments ever. And I was listening to a bit by some guys on YouTube the other day,
and it was actually on a similar topic. And they said some of the massive heavy lift and meathead guys are actually the friendliest people in the gym, because they actually give you respect. They're like, wow, amazing, you're here, well done. You know, those people actually are some of the best people to buddy up with. And I understand it's intimidating, and it's not within everyone's comfort zone to just talk to strangers. But actually, when I was at these commercial gyms, you realize that everyone's there in a similar mindset or for a similar reason. And it's actually great to make connections with people. And in a way, then you can create friendships where you remain accountable. You know, this person might then, if say you become friends, they're like, why weren't you there yesterday? You can support each other, train together, motivate each other. And that can really boost your confidence when coming into a gym environment. So not being worried about if people are looking at you, but maybe then reaching out and trying to make friends and almost like accomplices in your goal, can absolutely impact your confidence. You walk in and you might actually have a friend to go and speak to or train with. Makes a huge difference. But yeah, focus on yourself.
So we're going to end on one question.
Ooh.
And the question is, we've got 3 things there.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that anyone listening to this can do today, tonight, tomorrow, when they go into their next gym session or beforehand? What's the one thing they can do that they can implement that's going to have a positive impact? And again, we've got 3 things that we've just mentioned there. But what's that first step? What's the one thing that they could do?
So for me, what I would say, as you said, we've spoken about a lot today, I would say reevaluate your internal voice. Reevaluate that little person in your head who's potentially knocking you down and making you feel anxious, and just reevaluate it. Realize how you speak to yourself. Have respect for yourself and your body, because it's your home. Your body can do things that is amazing. You can do so much, and it's like, why beat yourself down? Why feel bad about yourself? If you want to go to the gym and better yourself, that's amazing, but just reevaluate and focus on who it is inside that's potentially making you feel unconfident,
Yep.
not confident. Focus on that person that's making you feel like that, and just tell them to like shut up, and replace them with a voice that's going to motivate you and make you feel better about yourself. Because we all have it, and it's not as if everyone out there has a great voice inside that makes them feel good all the time. But just before you walk into a gym environment, just take a look at that. Like, do some meditating, sit down, really think, and just take some time and go, right, am I going to be nice to myself today? And I'm going to motivate myself? Or am I going to let this little internal voice beat me down and make me feel rubbish? That's the one bit of advice.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Anne. Appreciate your time.
JT.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And there you have it. That is 3 things that you can do to help build confidence in the gym. And let us know if anything resonates with you. If you do try anything from this episode, then please do let us know. And we'll see you very, very soon for episode 6.